As-salaamu alaykum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, RidwanullahFamily. Jazakumullahu khair for tuning in to another episode of Ridwanullah TV show. I'm your host and maximizer, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you maximize every single area of your life and business in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I hope you guys can hear me. It's a little bit late at night on a beautiful Saturday night, for me at least, as of right now. And this is the second episode of the Ridwanullah TV show, which is the podcast, talking about the journey of maximizing our life and business in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wind is kind of blowing a little bit, but in any case, this interview, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, would be with one of my close friends, Omar al-Ani. And I've known him at the very least since college, and that's been a couple of years now, almost a decade. And I admire his hustle and his ambition. Someone who's worked in the community so hard for so long, and he exhausts himself. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him in the effort of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the effort of maximizing our ummah, in the effort of taking care of himself and his family, and in the effort of finding a better career. And that's kind of what we talk about in this video, is the importance of working at a job or an employment that is directly impacting our ummah. So it's going to be important for us to take note of some of the lessons that he has learned and that he teaches us. So without further ado, here's the session, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khair. I hope you enjoy it. Please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and press the notification bell so you can join the Ridwanullah family. Don't forget to leave your comment below what you think, and share it with your family and friends, whatever is beneficial for them, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me very well, but jazakumullahu khair. Enjoy. As-salaamu alaykum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakumullahu khair, Ridwanullah family, for tuning in to another episode of Ridwanullah TV. I'm your host and life maximizer, Hussein Mohamud, working to help you maximize every single area of your life in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in today's episode, as you guys can see, I'm really, really excited to have my brother Omar al-Ani here with us by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be able to just kind of talk about the main topic is how to find your life's work, or work that is aligned with your life's vision and mission. Before I dive into it, I just want to give you just a brief introduction to him, and then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala we'll be able to ask him a few questions so we can benefit. Alhamdulillah. So my brother Omar used to live in Salt Lake City, Utah. From there on, he moved to Michigan and moved to Memphis, Tennessee. That's where he's currently residing, and that's where he's currently working in the job, alhamdulillah, in the position that is more aligned with his life's mission and vision. With that being said, I don't want to go into too much details because we have a short amount of time. We're trying to finish this up in 10 to 15 minutes, inshallah. Very, very active in the community, loves to seek knowledge, mashallah. Very proactive in developing himself and getting the level of education that he needs. Multi-passionate individual, mashallah. And, I look up to him in many ways, more than one, mashallah. So I could honestly go a little bit further into it, but we'll save that for later, inshallah. For all praise and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our brother Omar. Ameen. Jazakallahu khair. Fadlan Omar.
What's your question? First question.
The first question is, what would you like to basically mention to our viewers and myself?
So Alhamdulillah. Jazakallahu khair, Hussein. Currently I'm working for Majd Rahman in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm not an imam, I'm not a sheikh, I don't even consider myself a student of knowledge or a teacher of anything like that. But Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed me to do, something in the masjid and something for the Muslim community and something for the ummah, as I see it. And I remember 4 years ago, I was in this masjid here in Utah, and I said to some brothers how beautiful it would be to work in a masjid. And I remember saying it, and I remember saying, I don't want to be imam, but I want to be in the masjid. I was like, I don't want to lead salah, but I want to work in the masjid. And then, subhanAllah, 3 years later, I'm not an imam, but I'm working in a masjid, And honestly, that's the best thing.
Goal realized.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, takes you where you need to, mashallah, where you want to be. And I don't see myself as deserving of it, it's just, I look at myself as this is an opportunity, and I tell my wife, even though there might be issues or we're not making as much money as we would like, or we're not living the life, we had hoped to like. Yeah. It's like,
that's the raw truth of it.
That's the truth of it, is you're not going to be driving around in a boat in the middle of a lake, Yeah. And even now, even you're making $50,000 a year, you're not going to buy a boat or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Right. You're going to drive by, and like today, wallah, I was like, man, I hope I have a boat in Jannah, you even though you're living in life,
sacrifices,
and you kind of have to look at it as like, we're only here for a few minutes, for a few years and a few hours and just seconds, and at the end of the day, you don't want to be somebody who chased after something that's not following you to your grave,
Subhanallah.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is always reminding us in the Quran about where our priorities should be, and how our priorities should be on the Akhirah, and our priorities should be on remembering Allah, and our priorities are, here and there. And we look at our scholars, our previous scholars and the pious predecessors, and how they lived their lives, and they didn't want the dunya, and it would chase them. And they would, Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu, even his family suffered because of the wanting of Jannah, So that's something, something for us to all look at. And, Alhamdulillah. I don't look at myself as somebody who sacrifices a lot, I live very comfortably, alhamdulillah, and, we look at how people live in other countries, and we can only say this is from Allah, that we live our life the way we are, and maybe we're going to be punished in the hereafter for the way we live our life. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lessen the burden, the akhirah, and not make our musibah, our calamity in our deen. Ameen.
Ameen. Jazakallahu khair. So that's really good summary of the bigger picture that we're going to be discussing a little bit of, inshallah, because we have roughly about 10 to 15 minutes that we're going to do the interview, inshallah. So I'll try to be passionately asking you as many questions as I possibly can. So personally, I can selfishly benefit, and
that's okay.
Hopefully the viewers can benefit as well.
No, inshallah.
So real quick, I want to talk about you're in Memphis, Tennessee, in Masjid Ar-Rahman. Mm-hmm. What is the current position that you hold, and what are the things that you do there normally? So
my title is program coordinator.
Okay.
So part of I have like 3 main areas I work in. Mm-hmm. Number 1, program coordination. So any programs in the masjid that we have, like the daily Quran hifth with one of the sheikhs, or Saturday school, or the youth programs, mm-hmm. or special events, stuff like that. I'm kind of the guy who makes sure there's a plan in place. There's a document in place. There's teachers. There's how do I improve this? There's mm-hmm. communication between the masjid and the parents and the teachers and the students and the talab al-ilm, and so on and so forth. So that's part of it. Secondly is like masjid operations. So making sure the masjid is open, making sure the masjid is clean, making sure the masjid has enough tables, chairs, tissues, napkins, paper towels, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Keeping the masjid operating. If there's a leak, I call the right people. I talk to the right people. If there's a maintenance issue, talk to the right people. That kind of stuff. Also, like sending emails, doing the website, those sort of things. Making the salah schedules, those kinds of things. Communications, text messages, that kind of stuff. Thirdly would be youth development. So I work closely with Sheikh Anwar, and we develop programs for the youth. So we have one of the very unique programs in the United States it's kind of like a weekend school program.
Yeah.
It's more like a institute of sorts, specifically for teenagers.
Okay.
So our first semester, we had 73 teenagers enrolled in this, and that program, it has a couple hours of knowledge, a lunch offered by the program.
Like an after-school program? Or
no, it's a weekend. It's a Sunday program. So,
weekend, okay.
So they would come on Sunday, they would have a couple hours of knowledge, they would sit with the imam, and then we would have like some games. We have a pool table, basketball table, or a basketball hoop, and we would have games with them, for them.
Yeah.
And we would offer lunch and so on and so forth, and we just create a good atmosphere for them in the masjid, around the idea of them getting the basics of the deen, away from children and away from old people, or older people, I should say. So that's, it's a really unique program, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So that's
like the third pillar of the position. The program coordinator.
The program coordinator, and the youth and the masjid operations, and
MashaAllah.
alhamdulillah, with my position, I get to do I get to engage in da'wah a lot.
Yeah.
So we do go out, and we've done street da'wah, and we've done da'wah at the University of Memphis, and we brought some of our students with us sometimes, and we get to go to visit churches. So that's really good, alhamdulillah, and that we get a lot of change.
MashaAllah.
And it's not the same every day, it's something different every day.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So you don't get bored, you never get bored. Wallah.
That's the beauty, because I feel like that position fits you very well, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And I think there's a lot of room for development for you and everyone else that is involved, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful part about it, because the ceiling is very high.
And honestly, it's what a lot of people think is they think of how terrible it would be to work with Muslims.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, we're Muslims. Lack of management, organization.
Yeah. The high unrealistic expectations.
But you think about it, you got to create that.
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't drop the Quran on the Prophet in the form of a book.
Yeah.
Right? It took 23 years.
Subhanallah.
Yeah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he could have dropped the Quran in the form of a mushaf on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
That's a huge lesson.
And this is one of the amazing things about the deen, as we look at some of these things it's not ever said to us. Like,
it's the implications of it.
We look at it, what does that imply?
Yeah.
Things take time. And we need to, and that's one of the things is someone, whether it's me or it's you, someone down the line, whether it's today or 20 years from now, is going to have to sacrifice for us to grow. They're going to have to put their ego inside and say, I might not be the CEO of, St. Mark's Hospital, but maybe I'll be the CEO of ISNA, or the CEO of Furqan Foundation one day, or I'll be this, because all of these brothers running these organizations, they're going to die.
Right.
And our youth, me and you, us young men, young professionals, are we ready to carry that
Step
torch?
Into that leadership.
Do we have the knowledge, the Islamic knowledge? Do we have the Islamic adab?
No.
Do we have the manners? Do we have the professional capabilities to carry that mantle?
Yeah.
And Sheikh Yasir Qadi, he said this in one of his durus. He said, "No, we're not ready for that." We know Sheikh Yasir, and he's one of our shuyukh, alhamdulillah, in Memphis, and we get to sit with him, alhamdulillah, and we get to learn from him.
Yeah.
And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
And that's one of the things our shuyukh are saying, is we don't have that group of people who are growing up in America with Islam, with American professionalism, who can lead that next generation. And that's, so it's
a deep point.
And that's what I'm saying is we consistently complain like, oh, these guys suck at parking every Jum'ah, or these guys, they can come to Eid and nobody knows how to wear hijab, or nobody knows how to, say salam. These guys aren't saying salam when we're walking by. We're focused on the wrong things. At the end of the day, how much would it take for us to smile at a person who's maybe not practicing, and maybe that's going to flip their whole deen and be like, dude, the guy with the beard and the thobe just smiled at me. Maybe, maybe I should be friends with him.
Subhanallah.
So that's, go ahead.
Alhamdulillah, it's really important that We can talk about this forever,
we can talk
honestly, so
yes.
Alhamdulillah. So I see that, you know, your mindset has always been different, but I think it's kind of elevated since you've moved around, obviously, with the travel and the experience, alhamdulillah. My question right now is, we've all worked in positions where it was not aligned with our life's vision and mission and purpose. How would you compare the two different realms, like just working 9 to 5 that, you know, doesn't really contribute to our ummah?
Yeah.
Whereas, alhamdulillah, even though as tough it may be, as painful as it is,
yeah.
now you have a position that actually directly contributes to our ummah.
Yeah.
How do you compare the two realms?
So within a 3-year span, I went from what you're talking about to where I am, and before I left Utah, I was in a call center position working for HCA.
Okay.
You know,
HCAA.
HCA. They own St. Mark's and Lone Peak hospitals here in Utah.
Yeah.
So I was in a call center, 9 to 5 job. Can barely, you know, have time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, weekend warrior kind of a guy.
Yeah.
You know, just leaving and going to the mountains every weekend. You know how we do it.
No.
From going to that and hating my job and like dragging myself to work every day.
Yeah.
You know, being unhealthy, not eating healthy, not being healthy, not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And then you look at yourself like, I need to study the deen. I need to study Arabic. I need to study the deen. So on and so forth.
Yeah.
Where am I putting the time?
Right.
You know,
feeling drained
all the time,
and always not having room for the other.
So that's where I was in Utah.
Yeah.
Then I went to Michigan, and I worked at Henry Ford College, and that college is almost a majority Muslim college.
Okay.
When I was working
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's a majority Muslim college. I mean, it's a secular college, but the majority of the students are Muslim.
Yeah.
Majority of them are Shia, but at the end of the day, they're Muslim and they're Arab.
Yeah.
And there was a campus safety associate, and I had a lot of free time. Had a lot of free time at work, and I would walk around and I would interact with the youth at the college. Okay. And I got to interact with the MSA.
So this was kind of your gateway.
This was like this middle route where I'm working at a professional capacity, doing something
that
impacting the ummah on a low scale, indirectly.
Right.
So I was.
So at that time, did you think you'd be in the position that you are right now?
No, I didn't even think about it.
So how did it? Where did
I'm gonna get there.
I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
I'm gonna get there. So at that job, I got to like interact with people.
Yeah.
And so like one time, just a quick story, inshallah, there was a young man in the library causing ruckus. He was causing a problem in the library.
And that's your job to deal with something like that.
And that's my job to deal with it. Okay. And then there's a lot of stories I have of dealing with people, and 90%
especially
of it,
in Michigan, Detroit.
And 90% of it is Muslims.
Yeah.
Whether they're Shia or not, they're Muslim at the end of the day, and you treat them as such. There was one young man, he was wearing a kufi, a white kufi as you're wearing, and he was causing a ruckus. So I talked to him, I said, "As-salaamu alaykum." He said, "Wa alaykum as-salaam." I said, "Come outside with me." And he said, "Okay." He said, "Are you Muslim?" He said, "Yeah." It's like, "Do you think you should be acting that way?" He put his head down. He couldn't look at me in the eye.
He had humility.
I said, "Look, are you Shia or Sunni?" He said, his friend's like, "What does it matter?" He got upset.
Yeah.
I was like, "Because it's going to change the way I react to you." And he was surprised at how I reacted. He was Shia. He's like, "I'm Shia." I said, "Look, you know better than that. Yeah. If you were Sunni, I would have been even more mad at you. Because I'm closer to you if I'm Sunni." See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have more obligation on you to be more strict on you.
Yeah.
I said, and I explained it to him. I said, "But you're Shia, I have to be nicer to you." See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that he knows that I have to be courteous to somebody who might not have the knowledge that somebody like you would have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We give him that excuse, inshallah. So that was an interaction that happened.
Yeah.
And that's me enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil. At a college.
Yeah.
In the United States.
Yeah.
Between a Muslim and another Muslim.
Yeah.
At a professional capacity.
Okay.
So what was my point with that is you don't have to work in the masjid.
Yeah. To be able
to enjoin what is good and forbid what is evil. To please
it's the
Allah.
Mindset of wherever you find yourself.
That's what my point is. Not everybody can drop what they're doing and become a sheikh.
Right.
And even if everybody did drop what they were doing and become a sheikh, they're not going to do very good in the masjid as an imam. You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to talk to people, counsel people, go through divorces, go through marriages.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And even then, not everybody's going to be able to handle being a manager at a masjid. Not everybody's going to be able to handle teaching. Not everybody's going to be able to handle teaching Quran, even if they know Quran. And the Prophet Muhammad said the best salary is for teaching Quran. And the Prophet Muhammad said 9/10 of all rizq is with business. So how do we marry those two? These are two ahadith. How do you marry these two?
Yeah.
The Prophet Muhammad on one hand is inherently telling us, go do business, make some money.
Yeah.
I mean, rizq, this is a good thing, sustenance from Allah. Another thing, teaching people Quran. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ. The best of you are those who teach the Quran.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who learn their Quran and teach it.
Yeah.
So how do you marry the two? We gotta work with what we have, inshallah. So, back to the story.
Yeah.
I get a call while I'm in Detroit. Sheikh Anwar, he says, we got a job interview for you here.
Sorry.
I went down, had the job interview. I didn't even know what the job is. I'm still struggling with what my job is, to be honest.
That's usually the case when
I'm still struggling, you know.
Yeah.
What's my job? I ask somebody, as long as it's helping the community. This is what the board said, is as long as you're helping the community.
These parameters that you have to
sometimes you gotta some leeway.
Yeah.
So now I'm working at the masjid, I'm doing those things, I'm helping the masjid, and then I got a job at the Islamic school teaching Islamic studies.
Yeah.
So Alhamdulillah. So in a 3-year span I went from A to Z.
A to Z, absolutely.
Absolutely, completely 180, and you can see the transition.
Yeah, I've witnessed the whole thing.
And you can...
I remember when you even flew down and we were talking about it.
Yeah, and Alhamdulillah, and as you get into those things, people, they ask the questions, and this is a very pertinent question to me, and you have talked about it, is how does somebody maintain sincerity
that's a huge
working for a masjid, because you're carrying a salary.
Right.
Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask you about it on Yawm al-Qiyamah. But Allah's going to ask you about your salary regardless, number one.
Right.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask you how much money you're spending, every penny you're spending.
Yeah.
So whether you're making 50,000 at Joseph A. Bank, or whatever it is, or you're making 50,000 at Dillard's, or you're making 50,000 at Costco, or you're making 50,000 as an imam at a masjid, on the base level, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask everybody about that 50,000.
And I think most people think it's a walk in the park transitioning to that.
And it's not. Now when you go to the masjid...
Like everything will solve itself as soon as you get into that type of position or that type of line of work.
And the way we, there was I think it's Imam Malik. He said if there could be a teacher who teaches just ikhlas, just sincerity, or just niyyah, just intentions, that's what we need. That's all his job is just teaching people their intentions and how to fix them. Because this is something we all need. We all lack in this regard.
No matter which level you're at.
No matter which level you're at, you're always going to lack. Even us sitting here, perhaps our intentions are, not as lofty as they should be, or they're diminished in some way or another. And we're just doing an interview, and it could be, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rectify our affairs. But sincerity is something, even us, you can be working at 7-Eleven. Is your sincerity the same when you come to the masjid versus when you're working at the masjid? And that if your sincerity was broken or your intentions were bad before you had that job at the masjid, it's not going to change. Because you have to go through phases, and you have to do tadabbur, you have to do reflection upon yourself to see what were you really doing there. And that's one of the amazing things about time. Time itself, looking back and seeing what you did wrong, even psychologically, mentally, physically. Did I do everything that I could have done? Was my mind in the right spot? Was my heart in the right place?
Do you feel like from the secular jobs to the sacred job that you're more conscious of your intention and sincerity even more now?
Because I go to the masjid to work. Does that mean if I go and pray at work, my sincerity might be a little bit good? It might be off.
So because
I might be there for. So you have to keep it in check. You have to work on it. You have to protect your sunnah prayers. You have to protect your night prayers. You have to, and I struggle, with those things. And as I mentioned before, there was a long time where I couldn't pray Fajr in the masjid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not allow me to pray Fajr in the masjid until I said, you know what, that's my masjid, I'm there for Allah whether I get paid or not. And I had to put it in my heart that even if I lost that job and I lost my money and I lost my income, that I would still show up for Fajr, and I would still show up to do the website, and I would still show up to do the youth activities, or I'd still show up and change the toilet paper, I'd still show up and call somebody to make sure the masjid is taken care of. You see what I'm saying? That's when I had to say, you know what, if somebody asked me to make tea, I don't care, I'm going to go make tea. You know what I mean? So it's about
the humility that you're
putting yourself down and saying, I'm going to do this anyway.
Overstepping your ego.
And saying, I need to be there anyway. You know, somebody says, oh, can you come and meet me at Dhuhr? Am I going there to meet them at Dhuhr, or am I going there to meet Allah at Dhuhr? You know, what am I doing first? You know, and that's all about the connection.
Very important questions.
You know, it's very important questions. You have being in a position of the masjid. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's heavier. Yes, the burden is bigger. Yes, the responsibility is more. But the growth is stronger. You know,
the growth is stronger.
The growth is stronger. Think about it. You have about, you know, in any given masjid, minimum 30 uncles criticizing everything you're doing.
With good intentions.
With good intentions.
Sometimes it can rub you the wrong way.
It can rub you the wrong way. That's fine. But that's 30 people watching everything you're doing.
30 coaches.
30 coaches who are helping you become better.
Subhanallah. Whereas before, there's probably 3 at most
that care about you. You see what I'm saying? So that's a blessing, you know, and you have to look. And
that's amazing reflection, because we, even before this interview, we talked about this, but we haven't dug that deep.
We didn't
dig that deep.
So. It's one of the like, I butt heads with a lot of my elders in my community.
But it's good to see it that way.
And it's a development thing. You know, and some people might lash at you personally, and I've been lashed at personally, and I've been berated on a personal level. You know, not just like.
What was your initial reaction and reaction or response?
So at first I was very reactionary, you know, just like any young man would, you know. I like
without really realizing.
Without really like, oh my gosh, like I just like talked back to somebody, A'udhu billah, you know. Or like I stood up for myself, you know. But
there's some fine line.
There's fine line. I mean, even standing up for yourself. At the end of the day, like, and this is something I've had to put in my heart, is like, I'd rather have somebody oppress me
than the other way around.
Because at least I know, and I have the knowledge, and you have the knowledge, and inshallah anybody who's watching this has the knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take care of everything. And we know we're going to be in the grave, and we know we're going to be resurrected, and we know we're going to be questioned, whereas that person might have forgot for a second, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive that person. And that took a long time for me to humble myself, and I still have spits, and I mean spats, and you know, spits and spats. Alhamdulillah, they're a lot less, and you know, even my relationship with my wife and relationship with my father is better because of the personal development of working just in the masjid. And just working.
So overall, it's been good for you.
If somebody asked me to leave, I would say no.
Because of the benefit.
Because of the benefit that I'm getting, and
not
I know
just the salary. That's a whole different thing.
The salary is different. I don't make that much, and I can share that. I only make 40,000. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. You know, and that's a salary. I work more than.
I love your transparency, by the way. I just don't want you to feel obligated to share.
No, I mean, this is something for people to know. I mean, because you can make money and you can support your family working for an Islamic institution, and there's nothing wrong with it. And there are imams with maybe less qualifications than some of us, making 120,000. This is the reality of the thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give the people their rizq where they need it. Do I worry about me cheating the community? Yes. This is why I told you I document my hours. I document what I'm doing. I don't sit at the masjid and just like stare at the ceiling, you know, like when we go to work, you know. When we go to work in a 9-to-5 job, you know, the first thing we do is we say, hey, how do I waste my time?
Clock here for 8 hours, how do I work 2 to 3.
How do I cheat the system? You know, how do I cheat the system?
This is a whole different.
But when you put your heart in to what you're doing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes the one who your supervisor is. You know, and it
that changes the game for you.
It's hard at first. It's hard at first. But over time, you're going to be like, look,
yeah,
this is where I am and this is where I want to be, and I need to take care of it, you know.
Alhamdulillah. And
So,
you know, this is I guess being transparent is a quality that I truly admire. And the fact that you're willing to share all these personal information not only brings value to me and to the viewers, it adds on to the legacy, because once people understand the value of transparency and you know, this position kind of humbling you to be in that type of situation, it's you know, I truly admire that.
Yeah. And I mean, 40,000 is a number.
So
at the end of the day, it's up to you what you do with that 40,000.
right.
They can give you you can get paid 30,000.
Yeah.
You know, but in Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you with more than that.
So
You know, I get paid so much, whatever.
yeah.
Maybe I give some in sadaqah.
So
Maybe I feel like I'm lazy in one aspect, so I give sadaqah.
so
Maybe I donate some hours here and there.
yeah.
Maybe I donate my time with somebody here and there.
Yeah.
I get to interact with new Muslims. I get to coach new Muslims.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I do that even on
Even
vacation.
without- yeah.
Even when I'm on vacation,
Yeah.
you know, I'm here in Utah and people are messaging me, how do I do this?
Yeah.
How do I go pray Eid? How do I do this and that? I was like, you know,
Alhamdulillah.
you got to put it in your heart that you're going to be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
That's number one. Whether you're going to get paid for it or not.
Yeah.
Whether you lost that job or not.
Yeah.
And if you had to lose that job or you got that different job and you ended up working at McDonald's,
Yeah.
are you still going to be in the masjid?
Right.
And that's the number one thing you got to look at is, what are you always going to be doing? If you're not always going to be doing it,
Yeah.
then don't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to always,
Stay aligned with yourself,
With your
regardless of which position you're in.
whatever you're doing.
Absolutely.
You know?
So I think we're a little bit more than 75% done with the interview. What we're gonna do now, inshallah, is just like rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna take you back,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll ask you some current questions, and then we'll wrap it up. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Inshallah. So, where were you born?
Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay. And how many places did you live?
Fort Collins, Colorado, moved to New York,
Okay.
Queens, lived in Idaho,
So I see the little,
lived in
okay.
Utah,
Okay.
lived in Michigan
Okay.
and Memphis, Alhamdulillah. So I've been all over the place.
Alhamdulillah. So you have a good flavor of
Yeah,
a
you
lot
get
of things.
you get a lot of flavor, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Most happiest moment of the past, all your life till now.
You know, what's happiest for me right now was watching my second daughter crawl.
Subhanallah.
You know,
So that's the
That's
most
not-
happiest time that you could think
for
of.
right now,
yourself.
that's the biggest thing
And
right now.
she's
She's 8 months.
8 months old, mashallah.
So that's the biggest thing right now. Now there's always,
yeah.
you know,
Childhood.
child. I mean,
What's
child.
the most memorable childhood memory?
You know, running home, and you know, from playing outside, and my mom is in the
I
kitchen.
feel like I'm there right now.
You know, just running home inside the house after
Subhanallah.
playing outside and
May Allah have mercy.
seeing Allah yarhamha, and seeing my mother in the kitchen cooking. You know, it's one of the most powerful memories of just you know childhood. You see that, and then when you become a parent, you appreciate
that
your
even.
you appreciate your parents, man. It's like
Subhanallah. We didn't
that's
even know
like
we were
your
going to say we
parents,
said
man.
appreciation at the same time.
SubhanAllah. And then now you're here as adults, and
Yeah.
we have kids, and we're looking at them. We're like, how am I raising this kid? You know,
Subhanallah.
how are they not dead yet? You know, SubhanAllah. And like my wife,
Sometimes you pinch yourself like, is this real life?
and my
Yeah.
wife constantly reminds us is
Mashallah.
from 0 to 5 is just keeping those kids alive. You know, SubhanAllah. It's like, you know, seeing the
While we're on the marriage thing, you said your wife. Real quick, I want to mention you've taught me the most valuable marriage lesson. I don't know if you remember this,
I remember.
but when I asked you, like, give me the best marriage tip that you could give me, and you told me, tell your wife everything before she even asks, or she even has a room to ask.
Yeah.
And once I've been doing that, it's just been amazing for anybody who's out there that's watching.
And to add to what Hussein
Mashallah,
said,
mashallah.
that doesn't mean if you had mistakes you've done in your life, you don't need to share those.
Yeah.
You don't need to share those
There's
things.
a limitation.
That's between you
apart. So we have 3 minutes.
and... Okay.
Cool?
Cool.
Okay. So Alhamdulillah, whatever. I don't know where we stopped on this.
Yeah.
But Alhamdulillah, I'm benefiting. That's really the agenda here, and hopefully you are as well.
Allah
Alhamdulillah.
barak, yeah.
So we're gonna skip a lot of things because obviously we have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your most pleasurable childhood memory, your most painful childhood memory. What are you looking forward to in life right now?
You know, what I say and what I do and what I want sometimes are conflicting.
So, and that's probably a good thing.
And I know they're conflicting.
Yeah.
You know, I know I want Jannah.
So.
But implementing that is difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like you go to the DI.
Yeah.
You know, I went to the DI today and I'm just thinking about like, did I really want Jannah when I bought this thing? Even though it's at the DI, you know, it's like the DI, you know, come on, Goodwill or whatever, you know.
So.
You know, sometimes we forget, and that's, you know, it's subhanAllah. So what, you know, so at the end of the day, we all want to go to Jannah, and we all know we're gonna die.
Yeah.
And we all know we're gonna be buried. We all know we're gonna be in the grave. We all know we're gonna be questioned in the grave, and we're gonna have the 3 questions of the grave.
Yeah.
And my only hope is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows me to answer those questions and allows me to meet Him in goodness.
So that's something that you're looking forward to in your life.
Yeah, we have to look forward to it.
Alhamdulillah. That's
and
a
the mu'min, the believer, lives between fear and hope, and I try to be aware of my fear of Allah and my hope in Allah, and you know, that's something we should all do. And I'm by no means someone to look up to in that regard, and I'm not somebody who, somebody could be watching me, you know, and be like, how does this guy fear Allah, you know, or how does this guy, you know, how does this guy fear Allah so much, you know? It's a matter of perspective, and we only ask that we can be, you know, following in the path of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba, and you know, that's what they're there for, is for us to have an example. And so my goal in life is to basically meet Allah.
Inshallah, we have less than a minute here.
Okay.
So 3 nasiha, rapid fire. 3 nasiha.
3 nasiha.
Rapid fire.
Fear Allah over anyone. Fear Allah over anyone, and don't fear poverty. Don't fear.
Is that the second one, or is that the same?
That's part of the same thing.
First one, okay. What's the second one?
Second one,
yeah.
Be ambitious.
Okay.
You know, don't put yourself down and, you know, think that you're not worth anything. Number 3.
Number 3.
Be humble.
Be humble.
Be humble.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. What does Ridwanullah mean to you?
You know, following the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, looking at his example and the examples of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the examples of the Sahaba, and you know, they are radiyallahu anhum.
No.
They are the ones whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. No. So how does Allah be pleased with me if I'm nothing like them?
Jazakallah khair. Time is up, but inshallah, I love you for the sake of Allah.
I love you too.
Jazakumullah khair for sticking through to the end of this interview of the Ridwanullah TV show. The second episode with my brother Omar Al-Ani. MashaAllah, as you guys see, a lot of benefit, a lot of lessons to learn from. Such a stand-up, transparent, amazing guy, MashaAllah. And I've personally learned a lot from. So, Jazakumullah khair for tuning in. You know, I really, really appreciate your support. Make sure that you press the like button and subscribe to the channel. And make sure that you press the notification bell so you can join the Ridwanullah family. And if you have any insights on working at a job that is a part of your mission, or you would like to, leave your comment below on what you thought about it, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And don't forget to share it with your family and friends. Truly appreciate your support. You know, your comments, I really take, you know, the time to focus on them, and I take the time to read them all, and I try to respond to as much as I can. Not that I'm getting many of them, but in any case, you know, I try to do the best that I can to engage with you guys. You know, I appreciate all the support that I'm getting on a personal level, people coming up to me and congratulating me, and everything else that they're doing. I don't want that to stop, but I would encourage everybody to engage with me on the online platforms as well, primarily the YouTube channel, the social media, wherever you're watching this information on. Don't be afraid. I challenge you to leave the comment below, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And that's pretty much the whole process of it. Next week is going to be a solo Ridwanullah show. I have something amazing coming up for you guys that'll help you on your journey to maximizing your life and business in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So stay tuned. Truly appreciate your support once again. Inshallah, I'll be checking out Jazakumullahu khair, Ridwanullah family, for tuning into the second episode of Ridwanullah TV show. And I'm your host and life maximizer, Hussein Mohamud, checking out by saying, never ever give up on maximizing your life and business in this dunya and in the akhirah by the grace, will, and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.